It does not mean that you have to like it, because obviously if you're in emotional turmoil, that shit ain't going to feel good. Hi guys, it's Ash, your truth-bombing fairy godmother for everything love, dating, and relationships. Welcome back to my wonderful, amazing, beautiful subscribers, and hello if you are new here. I know that right now is a really difficult time for so many of us. Quarantine and lockdown has been brutal for such a wide variety of reasons, but I know it's been especially difficult for those of us who are grieving the loss of a relationship and trying to heal from a breakup. We've talked about this quite a bit on my channel recently, so I wanted to make an extension to my original video about dealing with a breakup during quarantine by discussing some healing, self-soothing, self-love practices and techniques that can still be done within this current environment. And the great thing about these practices and concepts is that they are applicable to literally anyone, no matter what painful experience you're going through. It doesn't necessarily have to be a breakup. But first, as always, don't forget to click that subscribe button below for new love, dating, and relationship videos every single week. And a huge thank you to my recent subscribers, because I noticed that the percentage of people who watch my videos who are actually subscribed went up from 6.6% to 8.6% within the last week. So having more of you stick around really does mean so much to me, so thank you very, very much. What exactly does it mean to self-soothe? I would define self-soothing as a way of managing or remaining present with difficult emotions without relying on the aid or support of someone else. And learning how to do this is an extremely important skill, especially during quarantine, because now more than ever, we're very much disconnected from our loved ones or other external methods of soothing ourselves. Working through difficult emotions and experiences is certainly not something that we should have to do all on our own, and staying connected to a loving support network is really important when it comes to healing. But there will be times when the only person that can truly facilitate comfort and healing is ourselves. So let's talk about ways that we can really develop this muscle and really learn to lead the way when it comes to moving through our own painful experiences. Notice how I keep using the words moving through pain. That's because through is well and truly the only way out. And a key element of moving through painful emotions and experiences is something called radical acceptance. Radical acceptance is a behavioral therapy practice and is defined by goodtherapy.org as accepting experiences, beliefs, and perceptions, often without judgments or believing that things should be different than they are. It's about really saying yes to your experience, no matter how uncomfortable, exactly as it is in this very moment. And saying yes to your experience does not mean that you have to feel happy about it. It does not mean that you have to like it, because obviously if you're in emotional turmoil, that shit ain't going to feel good. But it's simply about the willingness to accept it for what it is, because what psychological professionals all around the world have discovered is that resisting or denying difficult emotions or believing that there's something wrong with you for feeling them, aka judging and shaming ourselves, is what perpetuates our suffering. So how does radical acceptance tie into self-soothing? A key part of self-soothing is not only accepting difficult emotions, but really learning how to invite them in for your care and attention. When I've been in the depths of my own painful experiences, such as processing a breakup and feeling rejected or abandoned in some way, I have visually imagined my heart as a home. Just go with me on this one. I want you to imagine a home and these scared, lonely, hurt, sad people, aka your difficult emotions, outside of this home, just banging on the windows and doors for your attention. What would happen if instead of just ignoring these people or wishing that they would just off already, you could warmly invite them in for your care and attention? What would happen if you brought them inside, sat down with them, listened to them, spoke with them, maybe made them a cup of tea? they would most likely feel heard, they would feel embraced, and as a result, they would relax and they would quiet. Befriending and embracing difficult emotions in this way has been one of the most important self-soothing tools I have ever taught myself. And that's exactly what radical acceptance is. Tara Brach, who is a spiritual educator, and I think she's a psychologist as well, she's amazing. She does a lot of work around radical acceptance and has literally written an entire book called Radical Acceptance. And it is one of the most transformative pieces of literature I've ever read. So please read it. I couldn't recommend it enough. But she does a lot of talks on this concept as well. And one of the practices that she suggests doing is that when we are in the midst of a particularly difficult, painful emotion or experience, is to just practice placing a hand on your heart and actively saying, "This belongs." So for those of us who are feeling rejected or abandoned in some way, or maybe we're stuck in this cycle of just really feeling unworthy or not enough, see if you can practice placing a hand on your heart and saying out loud, if you need to, "This belongs. It's okay to be feeling what I'm feeling right now." It doesn't mean that the thoughts are true, but simply acknowledging them and then softening your response to them is an extremely powerful practice. And doing this is essentially what is called self-validation. And self-validation, which is just reminding yourself that feeling the way that you are is completely normal and there's nothing wrong with you for feeling that way, is really important when it comes to healing. And there's an article on upjourney.com that talks about this, which suggests, very similar to Tara Brach's practice, is to place your hand over your heart and comfort yourself. Yes, this hurts. Anyone going through this would feel bad. Anyone going through an unexpected breakup would feel bad. Anyone going through a divorce would be upset. Anyone who got cheated on would probably feel less than initially. If this exact situation happened to a beloved friend, what would you say to your friend? Validating ourselves and our experience in this way interrupts that cycle of shaming ourselves for feeling the way that we do, when in reality, feeling that way is extremely normal, justified, and expected. I've talked about journaling as a self-soothing method quite a bit here before, and how it can really help connect you to that wiser, more loving, more grounded part of yourself. But I wanted to get more specific in terms of what that can actually look like. And one of the simplest yet most effective journaling practices that has really helped me develop my self-love and self-compassion is writing love letters to myself. For instance, if you're going through a breakup and you're really stuck in these feelings of worthlessness and inadequacy and not enough and, that whole song and dance, start by writing all of those thoughts and feelings out. Just get everything that wounded part of you is thinking and feeling all down on paper. Then respond to that wounded, hurting part of yourself by writing a love letter to him or her, just like a loving adult would comfort a child who was hurting. Let yourself know that you're there, that you care about their suffering, and that you're not going anywhere. Write down every comforting, loving message that you can think of. Remind yourself why you are, in fact, worthy of love. Remind yourself of all your innately good qualities and that your value is not dependent on someone else's acceptance or approval of you. And with practice, this process will become more and more natural because you're really building that loving adult muscle. And soon enough, that part of yourself becomes a lot more accessible to you during times of pain. You'll be able to way more easily connect with that part of you that understands and is empathetic to your pain, but doesn't just allow you to drown in it either. At the core of being able to self-soothe is learning how to create a safe space for you to come home to yourself. But if what you're feeling just feels too big to invite in or manage right now, then that's okay also. You certainly don't have to do it all at once. But instead of just binge watching your favorite TV shows as a way of numbing yourself or avoiding these difficult, big, scary emotions, see if you can practice opening yourself up to these emotions in a different way. Something I've done during these moments is take what I call a conscious walk. outside and you're really focusing on tuning into the beauty around you. Notice the physical sensations, notice how everything looks, notice the feeling of your own body as you walk and the sensation of your own breath. Notice things like the temperature, the feeling of the breeze against your skin, or any sounds that you might be hearing around you. It's essentially a walking meditation in which you're really consciously choosing to remain present in your experience, but in a much less overwhelming, suffocating way. And I think this practice will be especially valuable right now during quarantine, because something that I'm hearing from so many of you is that you just feel completely consumed by your grief within the confines of these walls. And that can be a very scary feeling, and makes complete sense why binge watching TV as a way of coping with that feeling sounds much more appealing than just sitting by yourself in silence within these walls that you've essentially been trapped in for the last few months. So change your environment if possible. Please get outside. Go for a walk somewhere relaxing and beautiful if possible, and see if you can feel safe enough to really come home to yourself within that environment instead. While walking and really tuning into that experience, see if you can soften and relax into your heart. And if you feel safe enough, see if you can open yourself up to really acknowledging and accepting and embracing whatever comes up for you emotionally as well. Okay, my beautiful people, that's it for today. I could go on and on with different self-love and self-soothing techniques. So if this is something that you would like me to elaborate more on, I'd be more than happy to do so. So please let me know in the comment section down below. I would also love to hear your own self-love and self-soothing techniques if you are open to sharing. But until then, I'll see you next week. Bye.
Ooh, when I get you inside.